Hello, everyone. There you go. I can't believe after 3 years of dealing with everything remotely, I am still putting myself on mute and forgetting about that. Anyways, welcome, everyone, to Time to Talk. Hello, Faye. Very nice to see you. How are you doing?
Hello. Very nice to see you again. Good to see you, everyone. Hello.
Um, I want to say welcome to everyone. Welcome to our Time to Talk, this bi-weekly program where we talk about mediumship. Um, Today we are going to start our episode 47. So we are nearly
Wow.
quickly approaching the 2 years mark of this initiative. Um, Today talking about pride, a medium's worst enemy. Uh, Before we dive in, the usual, let me say, oops, there you go. Say thank you very much to our broadcasters. We have SSL, the Spiritist Society of London. SSL is a study group here based in London that's dedicated to studying Spiritism and spreading the knowledge about Spiritism. We have online sessions every Tuesday, have face-to-face sessions on Thursdays, and you also have a couple of other study groups initiatives on Saturdays and on Mondays about the Medium's Book and Astro City. Then we have BUS. BUS is the British Union of Spiritist Societies, and SSL is a member, is affiliated to BUS. BUS works similarly to a federation, trying to connect and unite and help the different Spiritist groups here in the UK. Buzz is also dedicated to spreading the word about Spiritism. They have a lot of initiatives, events, talks, and so on. So go follow them. And last but not least, Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio has been around for over so many years now. I think over 11 years. And Kardec Radio also committed to spreading the knowledge about Spiritism in English and other languages around the world. So go check them out. They have a ton of content available to all of us. Right. Today's episode is Pride, a medium's worst enemy. And this is the way we got to this theme was interesting today because I was researching and trying to find inspiration in terms of like what would be the theme that we were going to cover today. So I opened the Medium's book and I started to read what was coming in the Medium's book, and then I opened the Gospel According to Spiritism and I started to read like about mediumship there as well. And I read I don't know how many pages and questions and chapters, and I was like, no, but nothing was speaking to me. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. All of those messages I was reading, they were all talking about the same thing. They were all talking about the danger or the risks that mediums have and how all of that is linked. Well, the worst one is linked to their pride in multiple ways, right? Then I went to talk to Faye, and Faye said, yes, that's a good one. Let's go with this one. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before I pass the mic to Faye to ask for her initial comments, I want to say hello to everyone. Let me see who is online. If you're online following us, just drop a hello, drop where you're from. The idea for Time to Talk is for us to have a conversation. It's not a lecture. The idea is that you bring comments, stories, questions, doubts, and I'll bring them up here live, and then we're going to make this as dynamic as possible. So send me a hello in the comments box, and I'm going to bring them up. Faye.
Yes.
Pride, a medium's worst enemy. So when I say to you that suggestion, you gave me the thumbs up. Why did you give me the thumbs up?
Because this is mediumship is that when one realizes that the ability is there and alive, it gives the person a range of emotions and different kinds of awarenesses. Yeah. So it is. It starts with something that one would like to do. Assuming that the person is a medium and would like to develop as such. So then it's almost a dream come true. It's that feeling of being on the verge, being on the doorsteps to a development, to a journey.
Yeah.
It starts as a frightening thought, because the medium becomes, well, what's going to happen to me? Who am I going to attract? Who's going to be around? Am I going to know? Will I know who my mentor is, etc.? 1,000 questions. And then when the training, and I'm not saying not just the training here, the training is given by the mentors, by our spiritual teachers, starts to ensue, gradually, and it is really gradual. Then the person goes from an activity that becomes like a person. It's a bit of a personal secret, but well, if I tell anyone, nobody's going to believe it. Then it's exhilarating, because it's wow, I'm on the doorstep to something wonderful. Then it's totally enthralling, because the reader doesn't think of anything else, because that becomes the mark of each day. Then it becomes intriguing, because not everything that comes through the contact or the messages or seeing is exactly what the person expects. And then the doubts again. So it's like a spiral. I wouldn't say full circle, because it's a spiraling sequence of events that may suggest either a total inadequacy of the medium. You can think, well, maybe I'm not that good enough, or it can lead to another thing, well, almost on the verge of stardom. Wow, that is something. I'm grateful, but I'm being allowed into something absolutely wonderful. It must be good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you were mentioning about that how it can be. In many cases it can be a journey as you discover yourself a medium. Assuming it doesn't start with like a bad experience or anything, but it's just see someone or receive a message or hear a message, and it goes on a journey, but you might end up perceiving yourself as special, as an mission, or as a chosen one or a blessed one, and how that needs to be carefully thought through.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're setting yourself to a tragedy, let's say.
Yeah. I would the first thought following this, realizing this, the first thought is that I don't personally like it very much. I don't like extremes very much. I don't like an approach that's so stern that doesn't allow even the happiness from the fact that mediumship is evident and is being developed. Why wouldn't I feel happy about it? Sorry, I'm saying me, because I don't want to talk about anybody, so I put myself as
Yeah.
as an object there. And but then there's the other side. Why would it be so over enthusiastic about it? In any case, in whichever end, it appears to me as if the medium somehow is trying to set a goal. He is setting the goal, or she, and expecting the return to be according to that goal, to meet those goals. When we know full well, what's the phrase? The phone rings from the other side, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the medium needs to be ready to answer the phone. And once he says, all right, if you ring, I'll answer it. But ready to be courteous and say hello to whoever's on the other side. And learn to listen. Learn to listen. And use sound judgment.
Yeah. You mentioned a few things that I really like, and which is there's nothing wrong in finding a feeling of happiness or usefulness, purpose, whatever it is, job done kind of feeling from working with mediumship. Now, I'm remembering a lot of like what I read on when Kardec was doing his research. Kardec and many others, because many other I want to call them scientists or many other
Researchers.
professors, researchers.
Yeah.
Not all professors followed his similar steps. The care that Kardec had to identify how can we trust the messages that are being received, right? And going from a moment where there was a lot of physical manifestation or things moving about, materializing here and there, which generates a lot of interest, but not a lot of substance or content behind necessarily. And moving from that to receiving content from the spirits, and then having to find a way to assess if that content makes sense, is correct, if you can trust that if a message is signed by a recognizable name, public figure from the past, if it should be accepted or not. And I think those are the things that, as soon as you start thinking about like the development of mediumship and how you as a medium can receive messages, are question marks that need to be in your mind. How do I trust the messages that I'm receiving? How do I validate them? How do I know if they are correct, if they are okay, if they are good, if they should be shared, or and more importantly, how am I feeling about these messages? Because as a medium, as you said, I think there's nothing wrong in feeling excited about the fact that you are working, receiving messages, and so on. But are you being sober enough to detach yourself from the content that you are creating? Because you are just the intermediary. The message is not yours. And that can be tricky, right? That can, as you're talking about vanity and so on, that can play with something that is unfortunately very seductive to us here on Earth, right? Which is our image, how people perceive us, being associated to something big, something good, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Kardec went through this as well. And Kardec had to find ways of, validating that those messages are being received or were fine or were good to be, replicated, published, and etc. But as a medium, how do we, react to those things or prepare not to fall into those traps? Because the thing is, if you're receiving a message, it could be just a playful, let's say, a playful spirit, not really committed to anything seriously, that saw an opportunity, to entertain him or herself in that moment, entertain you, play a little prank. So how do you avoid from that to become, something bigger?
Well, I think it's we must be prepared for this risk, for this possibility, but not be judgmental about ourselves first. I say, well, if I receive something that doesn't sound very right or doesn't sound consistent, maybe I am the problem, maybe I'm not good enough. No. I think when it takes the willingness to ask questions, to ask direct questions, and not be afraid of asking questions or offending anyone. Because if the medium asks a question to the spirit who's approaching, who's training, for example, and they do give training, then well, first it's a silly thought because the spirit would read it and would if we avoid our own thoughts, it's clear to the other side because the thought's there anyway, it is being seen. So it's better if I, as a medium, dare ask the question, respectfully ask the question, and check it again until I'm satisfied that the answers make sense. Then allow the ideas that I haven't uttered, what I haven't said, be used for whatever purpose, or for some sort of intimidation or joke. Or a serious person, a serious spirit wouldn't use that as a joke or a purpose. There would be a very respectful relationship to start with. I don't think from experience, they wouldn't be inclined to prove any degree of highness, of importance. The self-importance is not something to play with. It's not there. It's so it shouldn't be there for the medium, as it isn't with the spirit. The spirit knows. If they're serious enough, they will know when to disclose information, whether they should, and how much of the information is allowed or necessary. I think that's the start, a safe start.
You use the word that I think is very important, and I want to analyze that word with you, which was question. Questioning. Let's think about a situation, a scenario where I'm a medium and I'm receiving a message, and then a message, I'm used to work in a specific type of work or sessions, and then I receive a message, and then And I recognize the name, but it's it's not. It's a public name. You if you think about the seriousness of work, right? If you're involved in a work that is serious, that really is committed to bring forward things that are going to help others and so on. Likewise, the spirits behind that work, they will be involved and committed and serious behind the same purposes. So questioning, first of all, is, and I go back to Kardec, is the cross-checking of multiple sources. When something is to be revealed, or a new idea is to be developed on Earth, that will come and that will happen. That will be revealed. Let's say, I don't like to use the word revelation, but anyway, that is going to be revealed, closed, yes, in multiple forums at the same time or similar time. So submitting that message to someone else who is also part of the group or another group that you also know is serious, so they can validate the content and etc. That there's no problem in that. And the spirit that is serious and committed will understand and respect that. We're not going to be upset because you didn't believe on me. And no. Given the seriousness of the work, that kind of validation is expected, and that's what a serious spirit would expect as well.
Exactly. We've got to remember that it's not because the person is invisible that it is an abstract idea. No, it's still a person. There's still a mind. It may be visible to some, not visible to others, but it's still there. And just as we would be polite and respectful and cautious when talking to someone for the first time, I think the same applies to a contact with a medium that's starting to develop, and being humble about it, because I also hear a lot of, well, you shouldn't talk about praise, praise can lead to vanity. That depends, I think praise is part of the universal vocabulary to highlight positivity. Right? Extreme overpowering praise, if you think it's a bit too much, it probably is. It's absolutely too much. But if somebody says, "No, well done, you've done well in this phase," it's good to know that I'm in the right track. If somebody says, if there's a little pat on my shoulders, well done, you've done your exercise well. Now you need to rest now. I'm not going to feel, I'm a superstar. No, it just means that I've managed, after a commitment and an effort, to do something that was positive. And I honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. The problem is when it becomes when the praise and the self and the feeling of self-importance comes ahead of anything. Yeah, it's as if a pen would be celebrating with fireworks its ability to write good stories. When it's, with all respect, you're a pen. So as a medium, in many cases, I'm an extension of that pen. I hold the pen. Of course, there is an interface, but at the end of the day, I don't know what is going to be said. I don't need to know, and many times I don't want to know. It's not my place to know. It says, well, what are you going to say? What are you going to write about? Am I going to censor? Am I going to select? No.
Yeah.
No.
It's what you do with the message also, because again, you can receive something that's not yours, but you still have the ability to read and make a judgment about what is the content of the message,
Mm-hmm.
and to pass to someone else to double check and validate that. But here's a thought, a question actually.
Mm-hmm.
A question is good to keep in mind when we are producing content, from a mediumistic perspective, which is um, how much of an impulse do you have to put your name down as well, right? If you think about you receive a content and you say, oh no, this must be linked to me.
Well, I would say I would put my name down as a documentation, if necessary, if requested, if necessary, to take the responsibility to say that I am accountable, to make myself accountable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If people need a reference to say, oh, who's taken this? And I say, well, I did. It's up to you. You judge me. You think if you find that my work is reliable enough,
Mm-hmm.
then, because if not, I, as an interpreter, as an instrument, shouldn't matter that much. But sometimes the fruit and the tree, sometimes the body of work of any person, of the conduct, the seriousness, may endorse or may encourage
Mm-hmm.
people to trust that and give it a little thought, even if the message sounds a bit strange.
Yeah.
But it also helps people to help the medium to evaluate what's being received. But it's true. I think the serious work begins with this, what you call a disclaimer, so to speak. You say, look, we need, it's like that. We need to impart a certain amount of information, a message, some teachings, assuming that you will be in a position to pass them on, to share it, people who are going to make good use, the best use for it. If they feel that for some reason, for whatever reason, and I'm here on earth, minding my business, minding my life, and as following exactly what Jesus said, mind your business, look after, do your part. All right, to see this is what Caesar. So you do your job, you do your work, fulfill your responsibilities. And if on top of that you can still do mediumistic work, brilliant, fine. If you can't, there's nothing against you, nothing personal against you, but the message must be shared. So we will find someone else who's in a better position to do that.
Yeah.
And the medium needs to know that is a fact of the work. I'm not going to hold everything because I am, and because it's no, I'll do everything I can. But sometimes what I can is not enough. So it's not me. It doesn't matter who's sharing it, as long as it's being shared.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's even further than that, because as you said, the plan, the work, it's not mine. It's from the spirits.
Yeah.
And every responsibility that we take, there's always a risk if we will be able, for whatever reason, circumstances, if we're going to be able to see it through or not, see it through to completion or not. There's always a plan behind that as well. If it's not coming from me, someone else will also continue that work. I need to, as you said, I need to do my part. I need to try to do what I can. But the work is not mine. The plan is not mine, let's say. The work is mine. The plan is not mine. Let me bring a comment here from Elsa, which is very similar to what you were saying before. To be a medium is to exercise the humbleness towards everyone, according to Jesus, medium of God. This part, humbleness towards everyone, is a good one, because submitting what you produce as a medium in terms of content to someone else, and someone else go ahead and maybe classify as not proper to share, or maybe the message is not quite right. Anyways, receive any criticism related to that content. It is a big exercise of humbleness to say, you know what, that is exactly why I am sending this message to scrutiny. It has to be evaluated by others, and be able to not take it personally, right?
Sorry. That's true, because being humble is also be a matter of being sensible, because as a medium, even if I'm working, or I've been working with a number of spirits, or the same, or it doesn't matter. Even if I may be used to the presence, that's it. If I may be used to the presence, I identify that presence. I identify, well, this is such and such, and this is Madam this X, and this is Professor Y. But I don't know what they're going to say. So it's very dangerous to assume, the importance. Well, here comes another set of sweet words, and then the words that they have to say are anything but sweet.
Yeah.
So first of all, I don't know. I'm here to serve within the boundaries of respect and commitment on that, because there are boundaries. We're not there. We shouldn't be 24/7, because as incarnated spirits, we need to replenish our batteries with energy and rest and all that. Otherwise, the work will not flow, because the work is physically demanding. It takes energy, and it takes sleep, exercise, and feeding. So it takes fitness to be
well-being.
done.
Your physical, mental, emotional well-being is all part of
exactly.
Your
so anyone who would expect you to be there 24/7, I would ask again.
Yeah.
No. Because it doesn't make sense.
I want to use something that you said again as a hook for something else, which is getting you, as a medium, you get used to identifying, the presence around you from spirits. And if you are working a specific initiative with a specific medium, you recognize that presence.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were talking about, I used the example of a playful medium. So if we are mediums and we are engaging in that activity,
yes,
and but we are not careful with that element of being humble, of pushing away any inclinations towards, being prideful about the work that we're doing, being prideful about the content that we're doing, to associate to our image and as something that's ours. The spirits that are around us that might not be as elevated, the ones that are just, want to use that opportunity, they will also identify you as a medium. They will also identify that you are engaging that initiative, and therefore you are opening yourself up and your mediumistic skills to the influence of anyone that it's wants to get there and take advantage of it. And if they identify that there is element of pride within you, they can use that to grow and to grow and to grow and to reinforce these ideas in your mind, these emotions in you, and slowly they're going to create a sort of problem for you, because you had that little seed that you were not paying too much attention to, related to being prideful, related to pride. And they come and they feed into that. They start giving you messages, signing those messages as if they were, from big names, and reinforcing you the idea of this is because of you, this is you, this is you, this is you. And so in your mind, you are ended up creating this connection with that spirit that's just really using that opportunity to create a problem, prank, etc. for you. Yeah.
If you will allow me, I would going and then referring to our topic is medium's worst enemy. When I said before, I think we can talk of pride. Look at pride as a positive aspect of it, like taking pride of your work, being proud of the work well done. Why not? Yeah. But there's the other aspect, which is a negative side, where we call it the vanity, being vain about it. If you call everything pride, if I'm too proud to the point that I'm not just zealous of my work, I'm becoming vain about it. It's my personal quality, let's say. The first thing that happens is that when you're too over the top again and vain, the critical thinking doesn't work. Because critical thinking must be able to admit the positive, the pros and cons of things, the positives and negative aspects of anything, to find a balance, to find a fair judgment. So if one is not able to think critically, logically, to assess the pros and cons of a situation as a medium, the clear picture, the true picture will simply be missed. And one thing that you don't want as a medium, as a serious medium, is to miss the focus, to miss your target, and to lose track of how things are being conducted. Because what you seek, even though if there's not what is going to be said, you still feel if there's truthfulness or not. If you still feel if the ideas that are being shared are consistent or not. Even if it's a topic that's completely escapes my experience, my knowledge. But you feel it, you know if that sounds if that's consistent, and if the spirit who's imparting that to you acknowledges the fact that it's not your field of expertise and is patient with you to help you take the message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So an impatient person is not a very nice thing to have around. An impatient spirit is not likely to help much.
This is another good point, which is the trying to identify these characteristics from the spirits that you might be working with, right? So if they are impatient, or if the kind of the message behind like a overly convoluted and wording that in the end is actually not sustained by the message. You should think about, we want messages, if they are good messages, we want them to reach as many people as possible and be as easily understandable as possible. So try to understand like what kind of flags you can identify to question, like, is this spirit really associated to this work and wanting to do like serious work, and what kind of message are they trying to portray, and so on.
And I think that the fact that you're being humble about it, I mean, truly, honestly humble about it, helps to establish a bond of trust.
Yeah.
So that even if the information that you get, if a text is very specialized, is very specific, it can be done patiently from the teacher, from the spiritual teacher to us, in case they don't find someone who will be attuned so easily, somebody with more specific experience and attuned as a medium to combine things and make it easier for both sides. But if not, they will be very patient teachers and give us time to take the message.
That is true.
And teach us to take the message. That's another point. They do. You take calligraphy lessons. Remember calligraphy from school?
Yes.
You take calligraphy lessons. I did. Now the O's, now the M's, now the L's.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to bring another case here, because in the medium's book, there is, at the very end, there is a chapter that brings messages that are specifically directed for spiritist meetings, mediums, etc. And then in the mediums, the section that says messages for mediums, there is a message from, again, a recognizable name. You see, we're going to bring it here. That if you study and investigate about the mediums and how mediumship was present in pretty much in every single period of time, and in many cases in personalities of our history, you start to understand, oh yeah, that makes sense. It explains the story, the decisions, what happened around them. This specific one, I think it becomes very clear once you read the name, and then you think about, oh yeah, this person was a medium. Things become a bit more clear, I would say. But anyways, the message that this spirit brings to us it couldn't be more clear. And I'm going to bring it up here, maybe incentivize and motivate people to go read those messages in the Medium's book, because they're
Yeah.
quite interesting. I know Faye has a specific knowledge about like studying the book for that specific character in history. So also feel free to share an insight if you want.
No.
But let me bring the message
No,
here.
please bring it on.
Right. So let's read together. God has charged me with a mission which I must accomplish together with believers blessed with a mediumistic mission. The more grace they receive from on high, the more dangers they will face. And these dangers are all the greater when they spring from the very favors God grants them. The faculties that mediums enjoy draw praise, compliments, and adulation from others. Therein lies their danger. These same mediums, who should always remember their former incapacity, nevertheless forget it. But they do even more. They attribute to their own merit what they owe to God alone. Then what happens? Good spirits abandon them, and they become the sport of evil ones, with no compass to guide them any longer. The more skillful they become, the more they are led to attribute to themselves a merit that does not belong to them. God finally punishes them, taking away a faculty that could only be fatal. I could never remind you too often to ask for help from your guardian angel, so that it may aid you in always remaining vigilant against your cruelest enemy, pride. Remember this well, you who have the fortune to be interpreters between spirits and humans. Without the support of our Divine Master, you will be punished even more severely, because you have been favored more highly. I hope this communication is fruitful, and I desire for it to help mediums to remain on their guard against the pitfall to which they could succumb. As I have said, that pitfall is pride. Joan of Arc.
Beautiful.
I mean, she's being very clear, right? Very, very clear in terms of, remember, mediumship is a physical characteristic. It's something that you have in this life. It's not a superpower in the sense, that you are special because of that. But you have a responsibility because of that.
Yeah.
And that responsibility was granted to you for a purpose, for a specific reason. And just as it was granted, it can be removed in this or another life. So
It can.
You just need to be careful about how you're using these assets, let's say, that
Yes.
you have.
She uses a great word. She mentions adulation, and that's the difference between praise and adulation. Yeah, a praise, which is a gentle, friendly recognition of the work that was done well through effort and commitment, is one thing. Be expecting and accepting adulation, which is putting the instrument ahead of the source. That's wrong. That is a danger.
It changes, right?
Yeah.
We mentioned, I think, many episodes ago, there was we were talking specifically about obsession, and it's a word that is a triggering word, let's say, but it's an important thing to be aware of and accustomed to and understand and study. And especially mediums, you need to be careful about opening up that access to the harassment of less enlightened spirits. And the mediums book, they describe very well, obsession and so on. And there is another part of or another phase of, let's say, of obsession that mediums can put themselves open to, which is fascination, right? Which is that you feed into that specific. If a less enlightened spirit takes the opportunity of piggyback off of your pride and make it grow and grow and grow, it might get to a point where you don't believe in anything else but what that spirit is telling you, because it's feeding into your own pitfalls, let's say.
Yeah, and especially Rafael, I think we need to highlight that's our approach. That's the way that we choose to work in spiritists. That's what we understand is the best approach. There are mediums everywhere doing all sorts of work with all sorts of traditions. But it's true that if this is meant to be a means to help with evolution, development, enlightenment, so it's a charity, it's a service, then yeah, you need to be that careful, because otherwise the responsibilities accrued are immense.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
Which is another point. Wow, we're not even mentioning, we're not even talking about using mediumship as a way of exploiting other people's beliefs and so on, like selling mediumistic work. We're not even getting to that extreme.
We can get that some other time. Yes.
Because
it's a big chapter. Yeah.
We are talking already about mediums that understand that they should be, involved with work that would be uplifting, helping others, both incarnate and discarnate, serious and sublime, let's say, objectives and purposes behind.
Yes, because it's there's an element of confidentiality. There's a trust, of course. There's an element of confidentiality, because not all the work of a medium is nice and happy. It's so again, just one more reason as well. If you're set to do charity or to help, it's just like so many people, the Doctors Without Frontiers, and people set to go wherever they're needed, and they know that they're probably not going to find lots of happiness anywhere for some time, until they can turn the situation into more hopeful and happy and healthy. Yeah, so just making a parallel, a medium's work is not just one of getting all the glory of the beautiful poetry that there is, or the beautiful texts and the contents that there is. But we need to be, and being humble allows us to take things as they come and try to deal with them as respectfully as we can.
Very well said, Faye. Very well said. We are at the end of our episode. I want to say thank you very much to the ones that joined us. I see Elsa and Yazoo joined us. Thank you very much for your comments. As usual, I have a couple of announcements here. Let me bring them up. There you We are a bit short on the announcements this week, but we have, as usual, our Astro City studies every Monday. So if you'd like to hear more about that book from André Luiz, and talking about his experience once he woke up on the other side after he passed. That's a pretty special book to explain what does life on the other side look like or can look like. Then we have Spiritual Light. It happens every Wednesday with different guests and different topics every Wednesday. So you can tune in through the YouTube channel of Bus. And we also have the Mediums book course that we do every Saturday. Guilherme Monir and Charles are always there with us. We're going item by item on the Mediums book and opening for interpretations, questions, clarifications. Every Saturday, 10:30 UK time. You have the details here as well if you'd like to join. Right. This is what we had planned for today. I think. Thank you very much, Faye. I want to say
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, as usual, to be sharing this initiative with you. Any final words?
Likewise. No, I think it's. I just would say to encourage people, whoever, if you have any inclination to develop your abilities, just go for it. Seek reliable support and information, and it is a wonderful line of work. It is.
Yeah. And I second all of that. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to leave here our QR code. If you'd like to suggest themes for the next episodes, feel free to drop us a comment there. And we will hope to see you in 2 weeks. We are here every 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Yes. See you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.